Hey, hey.
Welcome to another episode of The Right Spotlight. I'm Kellyanne.
And I'm Brian Monahan. Great to be here. By the way, what part of the
So
world are you right now, Kellen?
I'm in Jamaica.
All right. Now, are you guys parked or are you
Actually, we
guys
just
floating?
pulled out. We just pulled out. We spent the day there. It was really fun.
That's great. So,
So
for the record, Kellen is, we're bringing this is our first international podcast, right?
yes,
Like
I
quite
hope the
literally.
Wi-Fi. I hope it works. I hope it sticks with us long enough.
Yeah. So, should we lose Kellen? I'm just going to run with it.
Yes.
We'll have our guest here shortly, and we've already decided that come choppy Wi-Fi and choppy waves, we're just going to roll with it. So,
Yep. Yep. Part of
well,
our gig.
part of our gig. Well, I'm super excited about our guest today. His name's Douglas Berry, and he does children's books. And so I'll introduce a little bit more about it after we bring him on. But he's also a veteran of the U.S. Air Force, which you think about military people and you're like, children's books, how'd that happen?
I know,
That'll
right?
be, that'll be interesting. So,
Yeah, I can't wait to
obviously,
hear how that happened.
I know. And, it's a great story. I think he's got a great series going. So, I think, we know how this works. We want to get him here. It's not about
Yeah.
us. We want to get Doug on the show. So let's get Doug out here. Douglas Berry, welcome to the Right Spotlight.
Hi, thanks for having me on, for sure.
So I guess the first question is right off the bat, how do you go from retired Air Force to children's book author? I mean, how do we get from here to there?
Yeah, it was kind of odd. You grow up and your kids grow up and you're reading books, and I would read children's books to my kids and just try to make them laugh, making, goofy voices and everything like most of us probably do. And as time progresses, you're thinking, it's like, I've read so many of these, I should be able to write one, but all these, everything's been done. I mean, what other story could I possibly come up with that's original that hasn't already been done? And when my son was about, I guess, 10 or 11 years old, he caught a baby rabbit in the backyard. He brought it in the house and he named it Jasper. And the next day, we released it back into the backyard. And I looked at my wife and she thought I was crazy. I looked at my wife, I'm like, that's the idea for the children's book right there. I said, well, we can't have a kid go out in the backyard in the book, though. He's got to have to sneak in the house because otherwise kids will read the book and run out and try to catch a rabbit. So that all started. Yeah, it was just crazy.
Yeah, so you took some liberty, literary liberty on it, right?
It's a semi-true story, just like my life.
I mean, that's the thing we find, across most authors is that, the best stories have a little bit of embellishment to them.
For sure.
So, so your book is Jasper and Friends, Night I Spent in the People House. Did I get that right?
The night I spent in a people house. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I love that people house, thinking about it from the rabbit's mindset.
Exactly. I kind of got to get down to the rabbit's mindset when I write these things. That's for sure.
So who came up with the name Jasper? Was that your son or?
Yeah, he actually named the rabbit Jasper. I told him right off the bat, it's like, it's just, he wanted a pet rabbit and we eventually bought him one. And that pet rabbit's image is actually the image of Jasper in the book. But he did name it Jasper, and then we let it go the next day.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. And it just kind of fell in my lap. I tell everybody I feel like like God put me on a path, because it just seemed like it all just kind of came in all at one time and landed on my lap. Now, it did take me years to finally get that story into a publication mode, but still, I mean, it's since 2020, everything's just happening. And it's kind of crazy. And I'm just on this wild ride. We'll see how far it goes.
Yeah. So before you wrote the book, were you into writing, or did you do any other types of creative writing, or was it just like a random inspiration? What
I would say it was just a random inspiration. My parents would tell me that's wrong, and I'm lying to you, because when my brother, who's passed away now from cancer, but when we were young, we would sit up in our bedroom and we devised this silly. We were maybe 8 or 9 years old at the time, and we there's a Mad Magazine and Cracked Magazine and all these magazines out there. And we came out with this one that we called SPLAT, SPLAT, which we thought was an acronym for something, but we never got that far. So we made up our own little images and drew our own little cartoons and stuff. And I can't draw for anything. They're not my images in the book. So I guess, maybe it started there. My folks, my parents and family would probably say that's where it started. But we made like one or two of those. And then, how kids are, you put it away and it's like, oh, that was fun for a little while. And then life happens.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, we've had a lot of people a lot of authors we've interviewed, and almost everybody tracks back to like childhood or their teenage years, and there's like an inkling of this long before it ever hits the hits the paper.
Yeah, you don't realize it at the time when it's back then, and then when you get ahead in life, you realize it's like, oh, there it was.
Yeah, you mentioned something, and it's one of my questions. Is you talk about drawing in those early books, and you said you had somebody else illustrate this book. Is that correct? Or how'd you go about that? I think we have had another children's book author, and I thought that was intriguing. Yeah,
the publisher that I went through, if it's okay, can I say their name on there? I mean,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Publishing. I call them a hybrid author or a hybrid publisher.
Mm-hmm.
They supply you with like samples of 10 illustrators, and you get to pick which illustrator you want. And there were all kinds of illustrations with levels of detail and all that sort of stuff in the illustrations. And I knew going into this, it's what my audience was going to be preschoolers. So I wanted to keep this about as simple an image as I can, but still put a lot of things to catch their eye through the book. So it's real simple, cartoonish looking characters. And they do a great job. I mean, I told them right off the bat, and I said, I don't care what all the other critters look like, but that rabbit has got to be the cutest rabbit you've ever seen. It's good.
That's great. I was going to pull up your book here just so that we could see what Jasper looks like here. So I'm going to go ahead and grab that real quick. So let me see. Did that pop up at all? I don't think it did. I got to add that up here. Oh, there we go. So this is your, we didn't get to this yet, but it's your second book, A Day at the Beach with Jasper and Friends. So that's Jasper there, obviously. So, do you own the rights to these graphics after the fact, or how does that work for you?
Yeah, and that was the thing. And that's what kind of, I guess, separates this hybrid author, if you will, from maybe some other ways of doing it. I've heard some people say, wow, you've got the rights to the images as well. And I'm like, yeah, it's written right in the contract that they have got to, if I decide to ever leave them, they've got to give me all the images they have, and I own the rights to all the images and all the story and everything. So that was one of the main things to make me go with them. It's like, oh, great. That's awesome. I mean, what else could you ask for, really?
Yep. What are some other things that they did for you in terms of the hybrid publisher, like service-wise? I think we haven't had anybody that's mentioned that they're used a hybrid publisher yet, have we, Kellen?
That's what I wanted to ask, because there's people listening that may not know what a hybrid publisher is. So could you explain that a little bit? Yeah,
I call them a hybrid publisher. It's not traditional. You have to pay to get it published. They give you like a lump sum you pay up front, and then they knock it down to 12-month payments, and you just pay along the way. But they literally take care of absolutely everything for you. They do all the illustrations. They hook you up with the illustrator. You get your ISBN numbers. You get your UPC numbers. There for a while, they were adding a radio interview into their program. That was included in the fee. They set you up with video trailers in the fee. I feel like I'm losing my voice. And they'll also, my distributor is Ingram Content. So that's like one of the biggest distributors in the US for the book. So, I mean, pretty much anybody can get it. They'll ship it anywhere in the world, pretty much. They don't do much in marketing for us. I wish they would do more marketing. That all falls back on me, which I'm getting I feel like I'm getting a degree in marketing.
Yeah.
If you don't know too much about it, it can be pretty daunting and a learn as you go kind of thing.
hence you joining us here on the right spotlight today. You know,
Exactly.
What
yeah.
about editing? Was editing included in that?
Editing's included, yeah. Cover design, page design, all that stuff is included
Nice.
in there, and they get you set up on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Books a Million, Walmart.com, all the .coms they get your book up on and everything. So it's pretty good. It's just the daunting part is up to me to getting it out so everybody knows about it. And right now, word of mouth is about all I can afford. So we do a lot of that.
No, I mean, I think, you know, there's a lot of opportunities like, you know, being on shows like this as well, that maybe, you know, like 50 years ago, you know, how would you'd have to drive to bookstores and things like that. So
Exactly.
I mean, there's a lot of inexpensive ways to market now, which I think is awesome. You know, you and we were talking before the show and we were trying to figure out how we connect it. And it's just, you know, LinkedIn, you know, it's like, you know, the ultimate, you know, we all hope for is that we make these connections online and they turn into something bigger and grow. So
that's the thing. That's why I'm on LinkedIn. And I don't know if you've ever seen any of my posts. It's like, I'm here to just make my network bigger. And maybe by the grace of God, somebody's going to see this. That's a buyer for a box store or something, gets me stocked in stores. You got to take your shots. You got to take your home run swings and just keep digging. That's what I always tell everybody.
No, so I'm gonna back up. I early we were going to talk about, you know, so you had this idea for the book, you know, what we say about 15 years ago, somewhere in that range. But when did you get around to finally publishing it? Not finally, but the time.
2020 is when the first book got published. September of 2020, I think, is actually the month it was published in.
Yeah, and there's like a little bit of a story about why that was good for you in 2020, or, you know, I know we've had a lot of people publish books around then as well.
Yeah, it was COVID, and I had some bonus money for being a first line worker at a retail store. They didn't want to close too many retail stores, so I had some extra money. I had the idea, had been turned down like 3 times prior to that, and I'm like, well, let me take another swing at it. I got the extra cash. You know, if I can do this with no real skin in the game right off the bat, that would be great. And lo and behold, they read it and said, yeah, we'll do it for you. So it's like, awesome. So the rest is history, I guess you may say there. But that was
no, I think, I mean, that's one of my favorite things is we've been interviewing authors. Almost, you know, I'd say about 70% of the people we've interviewed wrote or published or finished their book post pandemic. And I think that's one of the, you know, the just real highlights of that time is that a lot of people were able to take on some passion projects, either for the sake of extra money and stimulus, or, you know, like you know, some bonus money, or just having time or new network. And I think we all just kind of like felt like we needed to make this, you know, life was more precious after the pandemic. Like, you know, we kind of got move these things along. So, you know, so moving into that, you publish the first in the series, but then you move on to the second one. When does that come out?
That came out, I'm not going to remember that quite as much. I got it sitting right here next to me. It was 2021 or 20, I think it was 2021. Because I think 2022 was last year. I don't think I really did anything, and they don't really just got started on my other one this year. But yeah, so it must have been about the second year. I didn't really think the first one was going to sell, but about 30 copies. And it sold about 500 right off the bat. And people started asking me what Jasper and his buddies were going to do next. You know, what's in line, what's in store for them. And I had absolutely no idea because I wasn't planning for it. So I got thinking about it, and we love to take vacations out to Myrtle Beach. And I grew up in Maryland, and there's, you know, Ocean City, Maryland there, and Assateague and Chincoteague. So it's like, woodland rabbits and squirrels and ducks don't normally go to the beach. So let's send them off to the beach. So that brought on the second book.
Look at that. I'm on cue right there.
Look at that.
Doug, I'm an AV professional by day, so I mean this is what I do. You know, cue things up all day long. So
yeah, that was my first. That was my first Jasper. I made a little flat Jasper out of foam and cut it out and glued it all together. And we took him to Myrtle Beach with us, and I just stuck him in the stand or in the sand, with a little wire sticking in his foot. I just stuck him and stood him up in the sand and took a bunch of pictures.
I love it. I mean, this is always fun for us, is like to have our books, but to have an actual like character to be able to. Well, Kellen's got animals. Her book is Wagmore, and it's about her dogs, her pugs. So, you guys got that in common. So, Kellen, do you got any questions?
Well, yeah,
I've been kind of dominating things, but I just want to make like you can just sit there, and if you're choppy, we won't know if you're not.
Well, that's
talking.
what I've been wondering. Like, I hope I haven't like disappeared or anything. I'm still here.
You're like, he's ignoring me. He's ignoring me right now.
I want to go back to the hybrid. So when you do they jury the books? Like, do they can they turn you down and say, no, we're not going to publish this book? Or will they take anybody's money and publish their book?
I don't know if they put up a facade, they put up a good one, because they do take it and they do review it.
Yeah. So there's a review process.
Yeah. So do they review and accept everybody's book? I don't know.
Yeah. I think it sounds like they have a process where they're not just going to take anybody's book. So,
yeah,
because I'm sure they have a reputation of their own. So
I mean, I'm glad they've taken mine.
Yeah, no, they're wonderful.
Yeah. I've seen some of them, and a lot of them will also specialize in certain types of books and things like that. So, it's kind of like it's a hybrid scenario for them too. They probably want the money. They want to sell you the package, and they have to maintain their brand too. So
and
in their best interest, take good books on.
They don't keep much. They only make about 50 cents a sale on the book. So, I mean, I can appreciate it if they make some money up front. That's cool. I mean, I'm good with that. It saves me a lot of time by not having to go all over the internet to find an illustrator and then go find a UPC code, then figure out where I get my ISBN number from, and then figure out where I should, it's like it's all one-stop shopping, and I'm good with that.
That's what I was just going to say. It sounds like a one-stop shop.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I think it's an excellent way to go. And, they do have their, you're doing some of your own marketing, but, they'll have some brand equity in their title or in their brand as well. And, I also, one thing that you brought up that I thought, you said Ingram, you're published through Ingram too, right?
Yeah.
Or that's, and I think they give you more, they're more available in bookstores, and like, if you go through Amazon and things like that.
Yeah, but you also get to say, I'm at Amazon, I'm at, or whatever bookstore. You're at these big places. It's not. Well, go to my website and right.
Exactly. Usually the Walmart.com one is the one that gets people to raise their eyebrows a little bit. They're like, oh wow, you're in Walmart. And it's like, well, I'm not in Walmart yet. Your lips to God's ears. I hope someday, but it's not in the store. It's just on their webpage right now.
So how does your family feel about you being an author? Are they excited about it?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yep, they were definitely excited about all of it. And we've got the third book coming out, so that's we're all excited about that right now. And we've got the stuffed Jasper toy that should be here any day. We're excited about that. So a lot of good stuff is happening this year. Hopefully, the next 2 years we'll get some good growth going. Get the name out there.
I just saw here you're on Target as well. You're available at Target.
Wow.
Yep, they pretty much set you up for everything there. It's but again, online, not in the store. I wish I could get in Target stores, unless you're going to break news to me that I don't know about right now. And I'd say, well, no, it says you're available in store. That would be nice, but yeah.
That'd be nice news to break to you right live.
Yeah, right. It'll happen. I trust it'll happen. I like to say God didn't bring me this far to bring me this far.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So I'm trying to find on your website. I was going to show you. You mentioned your stuffed animal. What page is that on your website? I want to show everybody that as well.
I don't know if I've got.
I saw it. Oh, I found it. I found it on
the landing page.
Yeah, you have a blog post. Yeah, there we go. So you mentioned that as well.
Gets the big money.
Yeah, there he is.
Yeah.
They did such a great job on him. It looks like he did right out of the book. Yeah. It took a while. pretty much was kind of had that in the back of my head from day one back in 2020. And I was looking for somebody to do it at a reasonable cost. And unfortunately, I had to go overseas to find that. But he's here now. I mean, he's not here yet. I'm still looking out the window for the UPS guy, but he's going to be here probably in the next week. And I'm like a kid at Christmas all over again. I can't wait for him.
Oh, man, I bet that's going to be great.
Yeah. How do you go about that?
Getting the stuffed toy thing made?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That was just a lot. And when I say a lot, it was a lot of Google searches. You Google search with the words in one, string, and you think you've seen everything, and then you mix the words up a little bit just to try to change the Google-ness of it. And then you get a couple other results, and it's like I just kind of stumbled on this company, and I looked into it, and it was reasonable, and I went with it, and I had no idea how good of a job they were going to do. And they nailed it. We had to tweak it a little bit. You get a couple of tweaks in there, and so we tweaked it a little bit. We actually changed his tail, which I'm going to change his tail in the third book as well, because it was more of a regular rabbit tail in the first two books, but they couldn't quite nail that down. And after a couple of conversations with them, I'm like, give him a cotton tail and let's just move on. So got a cotton tail.
So someday we'll be like, this will be like Mickey Mouse, and they'll be pulling up pictures, and they'll be like, well, the original Jasper,
Exactly. And that's why I didn't mind doing it. It's not like he's the first character to ever undergo a change or two through the course of his evolution. So it's like, I'm good with a tail change right now in book 3. That's all right. So we don't change his whole look.
I got an idea for you. Jasper has plastic surgery.
Write that one up real quick.
That's the adult version.
Yeah. So are there any other books in your future, some, other than children's books, or do you just love writing them and that's what you're going to continue to do?
I'm really enjoying this. Yeah. Farmer Jasper's coming up. That's the one that's in production and publishing right now. And as I say in some of my posts, you may see them or may not have. It's like, I really want to just give kids books that, as I say, quiet the noise of the world. We live in such a noisy world these days. Mm-hmm. Like I just want to quiet it and just give them a fun book to read. There's no underlying crazy messages in this thing. I mean, I'm ex-military, so you might get some teamwork, you might get some responsibility, you might get, that kind of thing. But all in all, just fun books. My little tagline is, I let kids be kids. It's just, I just want to have fun.
No, that's great. I love that you don't have like an agenda for
no,
them.
Right.
Yeah. There's so many people going that way with children's books, and that takes away I think the purity of just entertaining kids.
Right.
Yeah. I got one of my best.
Teach a lesson, have fun.
Yeah, that's the lesson, to have fun. I had a good little review, I guess, for a comment from somebody up at the farmer's market the other day. They were looking at it and they're like, this reminds me of the books I read when I was a kid, and they were like about my age. And I'm like, you nailed it. That's perfect. I didn't think of the nostalgia angle, but that really is kind of what they're getting. That's
great. I think, and obviously target market, the kids aren't buying the books, it's the parents. So that's a good, how does that work? Actually, that's interesting. As a children's book, you're marketing to kids and parents, I guess.
Yeah, I'll let you know when I figure that out. Yeah. Right now, I just I'll do cute stuff 1 minute, and then I'll market it a little bit more towards adults. Like there's one thing I do on my Facebook page for Jasper and Friends. I actually found an app online that would change my voice. I found one voice that's called Small Creature. So I actually gave Jasper a voice, and he'll do Jasper's joke of the week and stuff, and he'll read that. He always ends, after his joke of the week, he always ends with shoot for the moon, because even if you miss, you'll land among the stars, is what his little thing he says at the end of each one. But that was kind of cool. I could pull it up on my phone, but I don't know if it would actually come across on the podcast or not.
You can go to try if you want to.
Yeah, give it a try.
Let's see if we can pull one up here real quick for you.
This is a show
Amongst
first.
yourselves while I look for it.
I mean, we'll definitely put this one down as a first ever, so.
See if I can find one of these things. Dadgummit. See it. I'm
We
not
have
no
a lot
pressure.
of firsts on this show.
No pressure. Just hurry up.
No, you're fine.
Voice changer. Here we go.
You know what time it is? It's time for Jasper's Joke of the Week. And this week's joke is, what do you call two rabbits racing down the road? What do you call two rabbits racing down the road? Give up yet? You want me to tell you? You give up yet? You call them the fast and the furriest. The fast and the furriest. That's funny.
Oh my God.
Mr. Berry gets podcasts, and they'll be posted on our Facebook page, and they'll be on YouTube and some other places, so keep an eye out for those. And also, just remember, shoot for the moon, because even if you miss, you'll land among the stars.
Oh, that's crazy good.
Jasper's quite a showman. He's my hype man.
So we're going to have just Jasper on the show next time.
I know. Oh my God, that'd be so funny.
Are you up for that, Doug?
That would definitely be pre-recorded. Yeah, for sure.
Oh my gosh.
That made my day.
So we always ask our authors, so the people that are watching that maybe haven't written their books or are thinking about writing their books, is there something that you wish you had done differently? Like something that happened that you were not expecting to happen?
That's a real good question. The one thing that I don't know if I would do differently, but the one thing that I didn't realize with the first book, that after I wrote the first book and did the illustrations, and I started to do the second book, I'm like, oh wait, I need to pay more attention to this. It worked out in the first book, but I wanted to make it so children that didn't know how to read, they didn't know what the squiggly lines were at the bottom of the page, could follow the story. Mm-hmm. I lucked out, did the illustrations pretty perfect, if I can brag about myself a little bit, in the first book, to where you can just kind of flip through the thing and you can kind of follow the story. Right. But when the second book came along and that little light went off in my head, I was even more cognizant to make sure the illustrations story flowed as well as the written story flowed. So that'd be one thing for folks to keep an eye on if they are doing
that's an excellent tip. I mean, yeah. I'm like, not even anything that I considered. Now, I don't know if you've had to do this, but we had another, is it Sarah, right? That was on. What's Sarah's last name? I'm sorry. Mago?
Mago.
Yeah. So we had another children's book author on, and her story similar in that it's her, inspired by her own child. And, but she actually had interior designers for the rooms for her characters in the book. So, like, she brought in people to pick out the wallpaper and things like that. And those are all things like just blow my mind that I've never even considered about writing a book that's illustrated that you have to consider. So
my first book, speaking of illustrations, I wrote the story and everything was going great. And the publisher came back and they're like, okay, well, we need you to really, paint a picture for us. So why you went on the illustrations? And I'm like, crap, I hadn't really thought of that. I don't know why, but it's like, yeah. I was absolutely out of my my comfort zone there. I didn't know what in the world, where to even start. So I was sitting in the recliner. I'm thinking about it. It's like, well, it's a night I spent in the people house. Let's think about this a little bit. I live in a house. So I got my phone and I just started taking pictures like knee high around the inside of my house. So those illustrations are loosely based on the inside of my house and my backyard and the pond down the street. And people probably, if they saw me, thought I was crazy because I was going all around the front yard, backyard, down by the pond, taking pictures, rabbit heights. I could give to the illustrator and say, here, just like this. Put the rabbit over here, put the other guys over here, that kind of thing.
Yeah, we did see you on a few police reports when we were researching you.
That was not me, but I know exactly what you're talking about.
I'm teasing.
There's another Douglas Berry out there that's not quite as nice a guy.
No, I'm totally teasing on that one. But now we all are going to go out and look him
Now
up.
we know.
Yeah.
How about inspiration? Who, like, is there anybody that other authors that have inspired you?
I'd like to say there were, but there weren't. The one author I read as a teenager that I absolutely loved was Robert Heinlein, but that's science fiction, and that's the complete other end of the spectrum. But yeah, as far as and as a matter of fact, since I started writing, I tried to, on purpose, not pay attention to what other people are writing, because I don't want anybody to ever come by and say, "Hey, you took my story," kind of thing, and be like, "No, I have not looked at anything. I don't read children's books." I want all these stories to be able to say, "Hey, these are mine." If they kind of look like that over there, or this over here, that's completely by accident, because.
Well, that means they're in there. That means they're in your house.
Exactly. Stop looking in my window.
Right. Or stop crawling around. Oh my God. Sorry about that.
No, I love it.
Yeah, but Farmer Jasper's, if I'll talk about that real quick a little bit.
Yeah, go for it. Please
They're going to, everybody but the mouse is going to be mulling about, and they're going to be like, "Where's Mouse? We haven't seen Mouse in a while." And so they're like, "Well, let's go down the road. He lives at that farm down the street." So they go down and see Mouse. And he didn't know what to do. He's got all these chores he's got to do, and the other critters want him to play. And he's like, "Well, I got to do my chores first. I got these chores on the farm I got to do." So they're like, "Well, we'll help you. That's what friends do."
Right.
So they feed the animals. There's 3 or 4 different types of animals they feed on the farm, and then they'll plant a garden. Each animal will have a specific task to plant in the garden. And my dad, who passed away a couple months ago, unexpectedly gave me the idea of a corn maze. As they go to feed the chickens, have them walk through a corn maze and pick up the corn so they can go feed the chicken. That way the kid can, trace the characters through the corn maze.
Oh, wow, that's fun.
So that's kind of cool. And then they're going to play hide and seek at the end. And I'm going to have the illustrator, Jasper will be there, counting, because he counts to 10 in the book. Just to help kids count to 10. And then I'm going to have the illustrator just have like all the other little critters peeking around the barn, the corner of the barn or something, so that the children have to like actually kind of partake in the hide and seek and try to find them all. So that's, I'm looking forward to that. We haven't reached the illustration stage yet on that, but I'm anxious to see what they come up with. I mean, I've got to paint the picture and everything for them, but it's always cool to get that first rough draft and see where their mind's at.
So you send them a rough draft, and then they read it, and
I send them words.
How do you map out the illustrations?
Yeah, I just describe in words what I want to see and what I want on each page, and then they'll do a rough, just like a pencil sketch, and then I'll be like, "Yeah, that's you're on the right track," or I'll be like, "No, that's not exactly what I was thinking of," kind of thing. And then after the pencil sketch, they'll do 1 or 2 full-colored images, and I'll review those, and it'll be like, "Yep, that's you. We're all on the same page now. You can go ahead and do the rest of them."
Okay.
So, what did you give us a time when you're anticipating this book's going to come out? Are you there yet? Or
I'm hoping the middle of next summer.
Middle of next summer. Okay, great.
Typically takes 6 to 8 months to do a book.
Okay.
Well, that's good information too. 6 to 8 months. Is that quicker than? Well, obviously, it's about 15 years faster than your first one. But
yep, exactly.
Is it getting easier for you? You feel like you're kind of getting you're getting it down pat, or does it still feel just like similar?
It feels like it gets a little bit easier. I don't want to be so bold to say, "Oh, I got it all figured out," either. Probably because these books, the verses are kind of rhyming verses loosely,
right?
Because I'm not real good at rhyming, but I am getting better. So that's probably the hardest part to figure out. I'm learning to use nice, simple words at the end of each sentence.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody out there that wants to do a rhyming verse book, don't get wrapped up too much with a big word at the end of your sentence, or you're going to be scratching your head trying to find a rhyme for it. Learn that the hard way.
No, I mean, yeah, I'm sure there's a whole coaching series for that too out there.
Probably is. I should probably read it, but evidently I'm just going to do it on my own.
So are you going to be putting together gift sets now that you'll have 3 books? You'll have 3 books. You'll have the plush.
Well, exactly. Yeah, that's I don't. I'm still trying to figure out the logistics of that. I don't know that I can go through the distributor. I think I'm going to have to do that by myself. Just do like an Amazon post by myself saying, "Hey, get all 3 books and a stuffed toy for X amount of dollars." But that's definitely in the back of my mind.
Yeah, unless you want to fulfill it yourself, kind of thing, it'd probably be hard to pull it off.
Yeah, and I think I don't know how that works. I don't know how to do it other than me fulfilling it myself. But so that may be where retirement comes into play.
Yeah,
that'll be a new product you'll have to add to your services, Brian.
Wait, no. I mean, I don't know what we're thinking here. I mean, Kellen does gifts and cards at WOW as her business. So, I mean,
I have a plush. I'm having a plush with my books, my children's books that I'm writing too. So.
Awesome.
So, I mean, Kellen might be able to fulfill for you, you know.
Yeah,
so.
I could possibly. But yeah.
Well,
so,
go ahead, Kellen.
No,
you. No, you.
Let me jump in real quick because there was something I wanted to bring up.
Okay, Absolutely. Good.
I got to find it again. 10% of my royalty checks are currently going to a nonprofit, projectdiehard.org. They're out of Paducah, Kentucky. And they give veterans that are struggling a hand up, not a handout.
That's great.
I was trying to rotate it and pick a different one each year. I mean, 10% of my royalty check right now, unfortunately, isn't much. And I'd really like to get these guys some more.
Yeah.
That I could. But I believe in so much in what they're doing. I've signed up with them for a second year. It's like, man, I'm just going to stick with you guys. It's so much better than getting hooked up with these big national TV nonprofits that do stuff. I like to do stuff a little bit more grassroots. So I'm going to hang with those guys for a while. But yeah, it's projectdiehard.org if anybody wants to look them up.
That's I love that you're doing that.
That's wonderful. So we've looked at your website a number of times, but just as Jasper and Friends, we've got it up here on the screen right now. That's a good place for people to find you and the series of books. Is that?
Yeah. There's a link page on there for purchasing. I don't sell them right through that through me specifically, but there are links. There's a buy page on there, so just go there and select the link and you can go, or just go to any.com and just put my name in. It sounds like, and they're pretty much going to pull them up. So
that's great. Yeah. So we saw that you can get it at Target, Barnes and Noble, Amazon, Walmart.com.
Books a Million is out there.
Books a Million. So
do you have any advice to give to somebody that's listening that is on the fence on should I write my book or should I?
Oh man, just do it. Start putting the thoughts down on paper and just make it happen.
Yeah.
You won't be sorry.
It's wonderful.
I was, 57-ish when I started. So it's like, you're never too old. I like to tell people, it's like, man, if you got an idea, be it books or something else, it's like, you're never too old. Just dive into it.
I agree.
Absolutely. Never too old to get started on anything. So,
nope.
Well, Doug, we appreciate you coming out and joining us today. This, we could keep this going, all night here. We love talking with authors and love your story, but we're going to be kicking you off here. We're going to kick you into the green room. But Kellen and I will wrap up. What we do normally at the end is we talk about you when we put you in the green room.
Your highlights.
And you can't say anything back, but we're going to do our takeaways from the call today and just kind of round it up. But super appreciate you being here. Keep us updated.
You so much.
Oh, thanks for having me on. It was fun.
Keep us updated when Farmer Jasper hits the shelves. We too are a project in progress, and we will have a book page for all of our guests and make sure that we link to your books and things like that. So keep us updated, and we'll make sure we get that on our website when that time comes. So we'll see you soon. Have a great day, and we'll catch you in a little bit in the green room, Doug.
All right, take care.
Thanks. Wow.
I'm grateful that I'm still here.
I know. I was not counting on your feed.
Because as we were getting farther and farther away, I noticed I was getting a lot of circles in me, and I'm like, I don't even know if they see me. So, but great stuff. I liked the story when he talked about his storyline versus the illustrations, and because people don't think about that. You got the story and you think illustrations, but there's a lot put into those. And I like that that was one thing that he thought about. He had to really pay attention to was the storyline for his illustrations. I loved him saying that everything that every other author has said to us, marketing times 3. You become a marketing expert no matter what avenue you take in getting your book out there. So marketing. The hybrid publishing option, I think that it's a really interesting. That was an interesting, for this episode. I'm like, because we haven't talked about that much. And then finally, the Project Die Hard, where he has a certain portion of his. You do that if you have the opportunity. Like I'm trying to find a pug rescue that I like, that I can, that I will give portions of my book sales to. It's just like he said though, if you give them to the big national, you want it to go somewhere where it's gonna help somebody local or a smaller group of people. So I'm stuck. I'm kind of stranded. I haven't found a rescue that I can help yet. So those are mine. How about you?
Well, it's not fair. You get to go first and take all of mine.
I do that because I don't have to.
No, I concur on all of those. I do like, just, the different elements of the hybrid publishing experience for them. I think, there's a lot of pros to that process. I think, for somebody who's like, hey, I'm looking for a publisher. I don't want to self-publish. I don't want to do all the things that I don't want to have to go figure out where to find an illustrator and get an editor and a cover designer and a book formatter. I think the hybrid path, it's similar to self-publishing, but it's done for you, and
it's a one-stop shop. Seriously, I mean, I had all my little questions like, does it cover this? Does it? He listed everything. I'm like, oh, yep. So that's a nice option.
Yeah, I mean that puts me out of business, but no, but
no.
I know, no, but I would coach somebody that's like, hey, I don't really want to go through the work of that, and I say, well, have you considered hybrid publishing? Because not everybody has the time or the interest in hunting down and self-managing those things. So it is a lot of work. You and I know we both have been on Zoom calls together trying to get Amazon to accept our books and match them up to ISBNs and all that stuff. And it can be a little hairy sometimes.
It is. But I don't know. You've got that portion of the process down. Marketing happens to be my forte, and I do help people get them to interviews, or they tell me where they want to go, and I pretty much help them get there. So no, this was fun. I'm glad I got to do this on the boat.
I know, that's fun. And the one last one is just, I was prepping for this and going through Doug's website, and I see the stuffed animal. I'm like, that's a good one. That's something we haven't covered is product development.
Exactly.
And so I thought that was, just another aspect. And I thought that what I love to hear too is that he found a hybrid publisher where he kept the rights. And that's kind of like one of the reasons why
that's very important.
I'm always leery of those publishing outlets is like, hey, are you going to pay somebody to do this? And are you going to lose control of your rights? And, and Doug went the right path because he's got control of his, both his content and his illustrations, which I think
Yes.
is, huge for the long haul, especially in a series. Like what would he do if, 5 books in and he doesn't have control of that? So great stuff. Looking forward to
wealth of information. I mean, every time we talk to somebody, we learn something new. There's a whole new twist. There's always a new twist. And that's what I love about our show.
Yeah, I'm looking, I think we're almost to the end of the year here. We are going to do like a compilation of the outtakes of all the people's ideas into one episode. And, I think that's going to be very powerful to take all these little tidbits that we've gotten from everybody and package those up into one singular episode.
It's not an episode, it's a gift.
Yeah, it's a gift. So, yeah, it might be like
gift to you.
Yeah. We did not mention to Doug, though, that we got free counseling out of him today. We did, he's, I think, the first person we haven't used as a therapist on the show. So,
well, we still used him.
Yeah.
I hope he still feels used.
So I think we're about 17 episodes in, and we figured it's about $1,000 value each time. So we're down 17 grand. So
can't beat that.
So, yep. Well, great. Well, let's, you ready to wrap this up? Or you guys?
I'm ready. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Please remember to let us know where you're watching from. Make a comment in the comments to let us know. Share this, tell your friends, and be sure to subscribe.
Awesome. See you next time. Thanks, everybody. Bye. Let's see if I can get this video to play. Sorry, everybody.